Hello all! I've gotten a few questions on how to do Polaroid emulsion manipulations like I've done here. This is a really fun, really creative technique to experiment with, and it adds a whole extra layer of artistry to your Polaroid shots. This is actually an old technique that used to be popular on the original Time Zero SX70 film, made by the original Polaroid company. By my understanding, this film had a gelatin-based emulsion, which is really easy to smush around with tools while it developed. But by now, Time Zero film is well over 10 years old, and it's expired, expensive, and usually dead. The current film, made by the Impossible Project, which is now Polaroid, isn't as flexible or as squishy as the old stuff, but you can still make fun effects with the same techniques. Unlike in the past, you can actually do this on both SX70 and 600 type film. In my experience, this works a little bit better actually on 600 film. You get a bit more dramatic results, I think, but it should still be totally doable with both. Essentially, you use tools to put pressure onto the photo while it's still developing. This disrupts and carefully damages the developer paste inside the photo before it's dried. You can outline things already on the photo, you can add textures. If you're good at drawing, you can even draw a whole new picture. It's really anything you like. I'll demonstrate some tools and techniques on photos I've already done, but later in the video I'll walk you through the process for real. The exact tools you use are up to you, but there are two general categories: pressure tools and texture tools. With pressure tools, you put pressure directly onto the photo. Here I have a wooden dowel which I've put through a pencil sharpener. These kinds of tools are good for drawing lines or shapes on your photo. This is actually a clean blackhead extractor I had laying around. This is actually good for pushing the emulsion around and warping the photo and making paint-like effects. This is best done early in development while the emulsion is still really wet. Next we have the texture tools. Texture tools you actually put behind the photo. When you put something textured behind the photo and then put pressure on top with a flat tool, the texture will actually come through the front. For example, I have some coarse 60 grit sandpaper, and this is actually some fuse bead art. With sandpaper you get these really nice star-like dots, and with the fuse bead art you can actually see the circle pattern come through. As for the tools and textures you use, be creative and improvise. Use anything you have around the house. The only thing to keep in mind is don't use anything that's too sharp so you don't accidentally cut open the picture and expose yourself to the caustic chemicals inside. Let's talk about timing. Early on in development, with a lot of pressure, you can draw these dark, grungy lines like this. That's because the developer inside is still soft enough that you can push it completely out of the way and actually reach the black backing. This is your only chance to make these dark lines, because when the emulsion hardens and the picture develops, you can't push it around as easily anymore. Early in development is also the best time to push the emulsion around and warp it to make it look like a painting. As the developer paste starts to dry, you can make lighter and lighter lines. Draw over them once to make thin and faint lines, or keep going back over them to make them thicker and lighter. Now that you know the basics, if you want to stick around, I'm going to take a picture and go through the whole process with you, of this photo specifically. I recorded this segment after I actually did the photo. Okay, I've just taken the picture. Before I do anything, I'm going to put it face down and leave it for about a minute until the picture starts coming through. Whenever you're not working on the picture, keep it face down to protect it from light. Okay, I can start to see the picture fading through now. I'm going to start by taking my wooden dowel and using firm pressure, making some dark lines. I actually waited a bit too long and the lines are coming out lighter than I hoped, but oh well. It's not a perfect science. That's as many dark lines as I want, so I'm going to turn it over and let it develop a bit more so I can make lighter marks. Here I start doing the sandpaper trick to add some texture to the photo, but it was a little bit too early and the marks were still coming out a little too dark, so I turn it over and wait a little while longer. It might be a good idea to put a piece of clear acetate between your tool and the film to add sort of a buffer layer so you don't scratch the film surface, but I didn't have any and this lighting makes it look way worse than it really is. This is much more what I wanted. Yay! Now that I'm able to make lighter lines, I'm going to start outlining the machine. If you keep going back and forth and doubling over your marks, they can get lighter and thicker. How about we give the Ms. Pac-Man machine a bit of a painterly look? With the blackhead extractor and a lot of pressure, I can push around the emulsion inside, because it's still a little bit pliable, and it kind of makes it look like an impressionist painting. This works well in areas of strong contrast, because you can really see the distortions. I'm really happy with that, so I'm going to go back to etching marks. A lot of this is pretty much the same thing, so I'll skip around a bit so I don't bore you more than I already have. I'm going to draw some straight lines here to show you what a difference pressure and repetition make. When I draw them at first, they're faint and pretty smooth. But as I keep tracing over them, they start fattening and brightening up. I want to add more of that speckled texture all around the edge of the picture, so I'm going to keep going back with the sandpaper and the dowel. I thought it would be cute to draw little Ms. Pac-Man on the screen. I know it looks really bad right now. I promise it's just because of this really harsh lighting. The picture's almost fully developed, so I'm having a bit more trouble making those lines now. But it's still definitely possible. A few finishing touches and I think we're about done. Once you're done, it's a good idea to turn over your photo and just give it some peace for the rest of its development time. We've given it enough of a beating. And after all that work, here is our result! I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd really appreciate a like. But most of all, this is a really fun way to transform your Polaroids, and I hope you all have a lot of fun with it. If you post any on Instagram, I'd love to see it. Please tag me with my username that's in the description below. Have fun manipulating, and as the great YouTubers always say, thank you for watching.